maybe you've covered this before. If you have, I'll get it from you offline.
Okay.
But I'm a little confused about the market at O Street, whether you're going to manage that, or whether somebody else is going to manage it, or maybe the commissioners can answer it if you can.
That's ours.
The entire store or the entire market at O Street?
If I'm
I'm sorry.
correct, you're taking the whole city block, is that correct?
The market is going to be part of our store, similar to like
So,
a Whole Foods.
The whole shebang there, right?
Okay, any other questions from Ms. Hightower?
Yes, I too am a native of Washingtonian, and so is Mrs. Sutherland, as the two women that spoke. And to Alex's defense, on a professional side, I never forget what brought MPD into the Giant, which were the incidents that did occur. Some occurred in the parking lot, some had occurred inside. So before, there were regular special police officers, then MPD, and we got so, it was really a very customer-friendly relationship with Metropolitan Police Department, monitoring the store and walking the parking lots. So from that standpoint, and I want to say something else too. True, at that time, the majority of the residents in DC were Black Americans. However, at the Safeway down here at Fifth and Mass, they had MPD, and a lot of those incidents were not blacks. Okay, let's get some facts straight. And if you want to talk about it, I want to talk about the truth. And then all of a sudden, the MPD officers stop asking for you to show you know, opening your purse and la la la, because a lot of the theft were not from blacks. But I am in agreement with Commissioner Padron that there needs to be some language that's stating your flexibility of making sure whatever provisions are needed to enhance, improve security provisions are going to be implemented. That's all I'm saying. No more and no less. You know, and that's the best way that I can see it, because I'm an advocate, because I was the first president at Gibson Plaza to make sure that MPD got in there, okay? And I know about the change. Change has nothing to do just with ethnicity and income. It has to do with your character, as Dr. King said. You know, I don't care what race you come from. God bless you and God bless America.
Okay. All right, any others before I give it back to Alex? No, all right, Alex?
As this development is in my single-member district, I'm going to move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E support the release from safekeeping for the Class B retailer's full grocery license number ABRA 092842, on the condition that Giant Food provide a minimum of 3 armed guards at the store at all times, 24 hours per day. And I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are we all ayes?
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it, motion passes.
So now there's a second.
Okay.
So the other response that we had from Giant was related to the cafe. Now, the cafe is proposed to be at the base of the tower of the historic O Street Market building. By the way, if folks haven't seen the plans for the store, in addition to having the traditional aisles and checkouts and customer service, in the modern portion of the footprint of the building, which is basically almost the entire square block between 7th and 8th O and P, within the walls of the restored market building, there are going to be a number of different departments that are going to be organized a little differently than the traditional, because this is a fantastic asset. This is going to be a unique store, not only in Giant's chain, but probably nationally. So they propose to have a cafe that will serve beer and wine from 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. In the base of the tower. That's at the corner of 7th and O. So one of the concerns, the primary concern that the committee had was related to the proposal to have 2 exterior entrance doors into this cafe area. So you'd be able to walk into the cafe from either the 7th Street side or the O Street side, and enjoy what's being offered there. Then you could proceed to enter the store itself. And presumably there would be security measures, tattletapes, etc. If someone was trying, to take something out of the store. And it was suggested at the meeting with the committee that people would not be able to go from the store into the cafe if they had shopping carts, baskets, etc. This was a significant concern to the committee. Committee members gave the example of being seated in the cafe, perhaps with a purse on their table, and someone running in from one of those doors in either O Street or 7th Street, grabbing a purse and making away, because there would be no security that would be responsible for monitoring who is going in and out from those 2 doors. We also, had, and again, if there's only one armed, guard in the building, more than likely they're going to be at the main entrance to the store, as was the case in the past. So this is one of the reasons why I made the recommendation that's incorporated in our resolution of support to have 3 guards. So there should be an armed guard at the entrance to the cafe from the main store area, and there should be an armed guard in the cafe area to try to discourage folks from doing snatch and grabs and otherwise doing things that we don't want them doing because of the proximity of those doors. So that was my attempt to try to address this issue. We had discussed the possibility of having Giant close those 2 doors and not have that cafe be accessible from 7th or O Streets. Obviously that's an operational issue, and perhaps they would be more concerned about loss of revenue if people couldn't come in and grab a cup of coffee and move on. So I'm trying to give them the flexibility of being able to have those 2 doors open at 7th and O Streets, but with the provision that there would be armed security. Basically, there would be, an armed security guard at the entrance to the cafe from the street, and another at the entrance to the store from the cafe. So I would, like to hear from Mr. Hoffmeister, firstly, his opinion about, these recommendations, and then, certainly from council, related to this proposed trade-off between not having those doors opened, which we did discuss with you at the committee meeting, versus having the physical security there.
Let me address the second issue about the doors. I am told, I don't have any firsthand knowledge, that the historic preservation considerations will not permit sealing of those doors.
That would only concern whether or not the doors would be sealed up and unusable, not if you were to have emergency or panic bars on those doors. So that's not really an issue. Mr. Hoffmeister.
As to put the guard directly into the cafe area, again, we will provide the security necessary to secure that store, to protect the customer and the employees. If an armed guard needs to be put into that cafe, then that's what we do.
Okay, I guess it's not responsive, but that's your response, so I'm going to, well, after we've heard other feedback, I will make a motion.
So I'm a little confused about this door. So you can come from the outside or only from the inside?
There's 2 doors,
from the
one on
outside.
7th and one on O,
Okay.
that go directly into the cafe.
All right, so I see the point. All right.
And then one can also go from the cafe interior into the store proper.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? Marge? Yep.
I do have a comment, and I expressed it at the meeting the other night for the committee. I would prefer to see some sort of security at that that location of the store. I would also like to see that those doors be used with panic bars until such time as it is proven that we don't need to have them as panic door only, that we can then open the doors and have people come in from the outside. But I would prefer to see that we have some more security. Unfortunately, we are in a transitional neighborhood, and I think we have to be very concerned about who's across the street and who's around the corner. And the committee agreed at the meeting the other night with Steve and you guys that were there, that we were concerned about that issue. So unless that is going to be addressed, I would probably be voting no to that license.
Any other commissioners? Frank? Albert? All right, any other questions from the audience? Martin had your hand up first, go ahead.
Yeah, in some stores they just have a glass over closure that do two things. It prevents the wind from the cold winter days from coming right into people in the cafe. And it's just another hurdle for someone trying to come in there and get out and steal. So maybe a glass set of doors inside the other doors might help solve the problem.
Any other comments, Ron?
You know, God bless all the NC commissioners have to make decisions like this. I'm glad it's not have to be me, but I do know that I've heard you grant liquor licenses to many, many establishments that you're not requiring all this as you are a little overdue Giant. And so I guess the logical thing would say, next time the liquor license come up for a small restaurant that wants to serve wine and beer, you're going to ask them to have an armed guard at the door. And I'm sure you wouldn't want to do that. That increases the price of the business. Well, the same thing I think applies to Giant. We can get a little carried away here, and I don't think we need to impose the judgment of ANC on how they can run a grocery store. I think they want to keep it as safe as we do, and I just want to say that there's at least one person in the neighborhood that would rather have you manage it than the ANC.
All right, good point, Ron. All right, Brenda?
I just want to know how many other cafes and bars up and down 7th Street have armed guards.
Any cafes with armed guards?
The Giant is in a different order of magnitude, 73,000 square feet. Your home is probably, if you live in a row house, you may have 2,000 square feet. We're talking about a huge number of people coming in and out. When we're talking about bars and restaurants, we're not talking about having the seating be mere feet away from the door. Usually, as Martin said, there's a vestibule that you have to get through, which keeps cold air in the summer and out in the winter. You've got a staff person that's greeting people there, seating them. It's a very different dynamic here. This is going to be self-seating. And we just see the potential for mischief being very different in this particular situation. So, did you have any further comment?
May I speak to that? One of the speakers, I don't know if it was a commissioner or an audience member, referred to this as neighborhood in transition. Okay? This store and the volume of people on the street and the 24-hour presence are only going to bring up the neighborhood. Safety lies in numbers. There'll be 50 people minimum per shift on duty in this store. And that's going to make, I suggest to you, the entire neighborhood safer, not less safe.
I don't think so.
All right, Linda, do you have a comment?
The number of people, the more people you have, the more crime you have. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening. But when you have something that's right there, and I'm saying because I live right there at the convention center, and those little stores that are under the apartment get robbed time and time again. that being a bigger place, and you have, right there is what they call gang territory. Also, I know because I used to walk back and forth to John, scared to death half the time, but I didn't have to go. The more people you got, the more hidden crime can become.
Are there any other comments, Pleasant?
Confirming that, I guess I've been disappointed. I'm familiar with the Alabama story, and to say that, well, we'll hire somebody if we think we need it is not exactly what I want to hear. You know, that there's going to be, you have a hotel there, people from out of town that you hope are going to be coming to the store. That I'm sure some people who are in that business of robbing people would like to hit on. And it's just, why don't you, how much more expensive could, an additional armed guard be than saying, well, we're going to try to hire, the MPD on their off hours? It's just, if they think that you're asking for too much more security, why don't they try it now? Because it couldn't be that much money. Okay. Try it now, then when, their license comes up for renewal again, they say, well, yeah, we decided we aren't going to do it. That's fine with me.
All right, Alex is going to go ahead and do the motion.
May I respond to that last question? I'm informed that a single armed guard, 24/7, is $30,000 a month.
Okay, and the projected sales for the new store are?
We're looking for about $700,000 a week in sales.
700,000 a week.
Correct. And a net profit of 1 to 2%. That's what we make. It's a very competitive business. And just to put the $30,000 for the armed guard in perspective, that would be, 1/3 of our part-time staff is about that amount of money. It's not 1/3. I'm sorry. It would be a big hit to a part-time staff. That's the same pool of money that operate the store comes out of that pool. And, I think George, who runs around Alabama Avenue, wants to say a few comments, because I think we all have the same concerns. We absolutely, positively want to run the safest store. We have to. It's our image. We're a good neighbor. We're a good partner, and quite frankly, we run safe stores for our people.
Okay, I'm going to actually stop the comments. We got other stuff to do, so Alex, you want to go ahead and do the motion?
Yes, I'm going to move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E support the Retailers Class D restaurant license for Giant number 2376, ABRA number 092843, under the conditions that either the 2 doors to the cafe at 7th and O Streets be closed except with panic bars for exit only, or that there be an armed security guard at the entrance to the cafe from the outside of the building and at the entrance to the cafe and from the rest of the store.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Will be 2 people or just 1 person?
2.
Okay, so I guess I don't know.
That's what I'm suggesting is that, there be 1 person at the location where folks can come into the store from the cafe and vice versa, and another at the entrance to the cafe from the street. So we're giving them 2 options. They can either not have those doors to the exterior be operable from the outside, or they need to invest in having 2 armed guards that are going to have as their responsibility making sure that nothing wrong goes on in and out of that cafe space. And I would ask for a second.
I'll second that.
Mark seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Are we all ayes? Okay, the ayes have it. Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you for
Pleasure
coming.
having you. Thank you for your time. All right, the next one, we have several more items for the agenda. So the next one is in Kevin's area. It is for a liquor license to support a new place called Ivy in Cooney, and we are going to make this quicker. All right, Kevin?
Okay,
All
well,
right.
Alex will give the committee report
Okay.
and then.
We're going to make this brief for Alex, okay?
Sure, the committee reviewed the application with the applicants and was pleased to hear that they have significant experience in operating restaurants/bars of this type, particularly with Kangaroo Boxing Club on 11th Street. We found that there was no anticipation of having negative impacts related to peace, order, and quiet, which are the standards in which we are allowed to object. And since we're not asking them to make a presentation, I'll just very briefly say that it's their intention to operate a Midwestern-themed sports bar that will be DC-friendly, that will have a very limited seating capacity that potentially could expand if they are able to finance a covered deck at the rear. It's a very small portion of the second floor at 1537 7th Street that would be the location for Ivy and Coney. And it's Ivy for the Ivy on Wrigley Field, and Coney for the Coney Island hot dogs that are served in Detroit. Because I know you wanted to know what the Ivy and Coney was about. So the recommendation was for the commission to support the application.
It's the Coney Island hot dogs that are served in Detroit, not in.
My name is Josh Saltzman. I'm one of the owners of Kangaroo Boxing Club, and I also own the Purveyors of Rolling Cuisine food truck. I'm from Chicago. My business partner, who's actually at the location of Ivy and Coney right now, trying to build the bar, is the one from Detroit. Coney dogs. I have never been able to get a straight answer from him. I don't know why it's called a Coney dog. All I know is that it is not supposed to have anything to do with Coney Island, but it's basically a hot dog with a very hearty chili on top, some diced onions, and mustard. I've had the testers for the restaurant, and they are delicious. So I don't know much more of the background story.
Don't they have French fries too?
They sometimes just serve the Coney chili on French fries. There is no French fries directly on the hot dog.
Oh, I thought that was Chicago.
Oh, well, Chicago's a whole other matter. We could talk about that for a long
Go
time.
ahead and make the motion.
I move that ANC 60 support Ivy and Coney's Class C liquor license, and we report our support to ABRA and ask for a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Frank's abstaining. Okay, so we've got 5 ayes and 1 abstention. All right, motion passes. Thanks very much.
Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
All right, so thank you very much. So we're back in Alex's area again. This is for a consideration of a resolution requesting that City Market on O. This is the area where the Giant is going to be, and the Jefferson at Marketplace, which is across the street, to add security cameras for public safety.
And this is directly related to our discussions related to Giant. I was shocked to learn that Roadside Development and Jefferson Apartment Group had not planned to put perimeter security cameras around their buildings. I mean, they are going to have them on the inside where there are entrances and exits to the building, but they would have no ability to be able to help to improve the security of the neighborhood around them when it is in their best interest to make sure that their tenants are not victims of crime, and that they would fail to take this very basic measure to try to preserve and enhance safety in the community was just outrageous to me. So I am asking the commission to communicate our recommendation to both developers that they add perimeter security cameras that would allow the entire perimeter of their buildings to be monitored and have those recordings available to the Metropolitan Police Department in the event that there are crimes that potentially could be captured by the cameras.
Are we asking that of other venues? Or are we just singling out this one near the Giant?
This,
And the Giant being-
this is my request related to this project, but if someone wants to expand it to all development, residential development in our jurisdiction, then I would certainly consider that a friendly amendment once I make the motion. Any other questions?
All right, Frank, any questions? Alvin?
Okay.
All right.
I got a question.
Al.
It's in the area, doesn't, like on 7th Street, doesn't have police security cameras up in the areas? Also,
There are some cameras on 7th Street, but there certainly are not in the alley, and there are not on P Street or Q Street. Yes.
We back up on the alley between 7th and 8th, and there are all kinds of problems back there. In fact, Dacha Beer Garden, we made it part of the settlement agreement between this committee and the owners of Dacha. They install security cameras too. So it's not just these two projects, but that alley up and down between essentially P and Rhode Island is rife with problems.
I mean, is that where we're asking for the cameras to go, in that alley?
It's the next block in the same alley.
I'm sorry, so it's around the whole building?
For Jefferson Apartment Group, yes, it would be covering the alley, all 4 sides of the building. If that's clearer.
Any other community comments before Alex goes to Martin?
Sorry, we're gonna have lighting around the whole thing too, like some of the other apartment buildings not too far away. Even at nighttime, like lit up like daylight, even in the parking lot off the street.
That would be another consideration, but, you know, I have not inquired of the developers their lighting plans, but I did ask about security cameras. So I would move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E strongly recommend to Jefferson Apartment Group and Roadside Development that they install perimeter security cameras capable of providing recordings to the Metropolitan Police Department around their developments at Jefferson and Marketplace and City Market at O. And I would ask for a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. March? Okay, we're all ayes. Okay, the ayes have it, motion passes. Okay, so now in Marge's area, this is these are one of the things that we added for this evening. This has to do with the Hampton Inn that sits at 6th and Massachusetts Avenue, and they're looking for support for a sidewalk cafe.
Excuse me. There is no objection from my single-member district to putting in the outdoor cafe. The neighborhood has agreed that it would be a great enhancement, but we would like to include a couple of things in the letter that we send. One, that the cafe should be made available to the community and not just for the hotel guests. It would be one of the very few places that would serve breakfast in our area. And so we'd like to be able to have people be able to sit outdoors that are not guests of the hotel, of the hotel.
So can I pause for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that, I mean, I'm not familiar with that particular operation, but aren't those breakfasts just for paid guests? Like they don't, it's like, here's your muffin and coffee and they don't have a menu, or do you know that? If it's like a menu-based breakfast?
It's a full breakfast.
So, but is it?
But it is complimentary. But I mean, what the residents are saying is, besides having a complimentary breakfast for your guests, they'd like to have the outdoor cafe at least opened up to the public for coffee and whatever when it's going to be in operation.
But wouldn't that change their operation status? I mean, that's
I don't
our
know.
concern.
I don't know that, but this is what they've asked me to include in a letter if we're going to support it.
I can't support, I mean, I don't know their business operations enough to. I have to totally support the cafe for their guests, but if it's changing their structure of the way they run their, that's not our concern for.
Okay, well.
I mean, that's just I don't know, does you want to comment?
I think it is overreaching. I mean, I've been a guest of the Hampton Inns in other cities, and yes, you know, they do have a complimentary breakfast that's free to all of their guests. So I can't see how they would be able to manage the space if they were having other folks from the community coming into the cafe. Just like a restaurant that has an outdoor cafe area, they don't allow anybody to just come in and sit unless they're the customers.
Well, that's what they're asking to be, considered customers.
That's not their structure now, I would suspect.
Since it's, I mean, they've dug up and it's ripped up and it's been an eyesore in the community for over a year, that it's just a request they're making. Now, whoever issues the endorsement for it can say yay or nay based on whatever, but that's what the community would like included in the letter, is that they would like to be able to have the community have the ability to go in and use the cafe as well. And they would like a beginning date and an ending date for the construction, because it's been over a year already, and this is the first application to actually do something. They tore it up and left it all torn, and it's an eyesore. And so we're looking for a beginning date and an ending date, which would also show penalties if you do not complete on time.
So we don't have a representative from the hotel here. So I'm for the cafe. I'm clearly not for changing their business operations. That's not our concern. Other comments?
We certainly have no means of imposing penalties for failure to complete a project by any stretch of the imagination. They can not have their their permits, renewed. That's a normal process for PCCRA. So there's no mechanism for us to be able to penalize them if they fail to complete construction by a certain date.
Okay, any other comments? Any comments from the audience before we move on? Okay, so we need to make a motion, Marge. I know that I can't support that other part with the, Kevin?
I can't support.
No, Alex?
Can't support the restriction.
Okay. Fran? Alex? Okay. So go ahead and make the motion. We can't support that.
Then I don't think there's anything to address.
But we have to, as far as the public space permit, that's what they're asking.
Right, without these considerations, the community is not in favor of allowing it.
Okay, because that's, once again, they're not here to defend themselves, so we can't impose. So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion, all right?
Excuse me, you didn't make a motion.